So question 3 of section C is asking us what is a tort. Okay, so a tort is a civil wrong or a harmful act, except a breach of contract. So it's any harmful act that leads to a civil wrong except for a breach of contract. And it gives the person harmed the right to sue sue for damages or compensation or some other remedy, because we know that we can have equitable remedies as well. So it's clear that it's a civil wrong or harmful act, but not a breach of contract, that gives the person harmed the right to sue compensation. What's an example of a tort? Well, we could use anything from negligence, for instance, because we know negligence is a tort. So a person who suffers food poisoning because a restaurant has been negligent could sue for the harm caused. Okay, so that's an example there of a tort. So number 4 is vague consideration. So if I were to go to my handy dandy hint sheet around consideration, so we're at consideration, we can see, vague consideration is where we don't have sufficient consideration. And we have 2 examples there. The consideration of promising to be nice or promising to stop complaining are examples of vague consideration. So, vague consideration is where the meaning of the promise is not sufficiently clear or understood. So, which means it has no legal value. So if we're insufficiently clear about what we're giving, if it's vague, if it's too vague, then the law says that there's no consideration here. There's no legal value to that consideration. Then we could use an example that we have from our handy dandy hint sheet, right? An example might be, so let's go, an example is where I promise to wash your car and you promise to stop complaining about BSB111. All right, so the consideration, the promise of you to stop complaining is vague consideration and insufficient consideration. Your promise to stop complaining is vague consideration, as it is not clear or definite, and so not sufficient consideration to support a contract. I just thought we need that last sentence to make it clear that we know what one of those promises is the vague consideration. And that's the last of our short answers. So on to the mini problems.